Okay, so I'd like to thank all of you for coming on today's Minute Richmond, Rob. You know, Fry, you got to get with the program here.
Yeah.
I'd like to give the media a bad time, right? You'll get me. Are you good to go?
Introduce yourself, Bill.
Okay. I'm Al Richmond, I'm Chairman of the Regional District, and I'd like to thank you for coming today for this media tour of the Soda Creek area. It's an attempt for us to show you firsthand what the devastation that's happened in our region and how some people are coping with recovery. While we're still dealing with fire, our next phase we'll be moving into in the coming probably month will be recovery and how are we going to help people move on. Keep in mind where you're going today. Director Forsyth will be going with you. I apologize I can't go, but some things have come up that I'm not going to be able me to attend today. But you're going to see some people who lost some homes. You're going to see some properties where they had done some fire smarting and how successful that was. It doesn't mean to say that fire smarting your property will save you from a fire that's a rank 5 or rank 6 fire. But it's a good way to try and protect your infrastructure and assets. So we'd ask you to be respectful of the people and the places you're seeing today and understand some of these people have had quite a traumatic experience with their personal losses. And we thank you for coming. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them if I can at this time.
Well, you know, mine are to clarify some of this backcountry stuff. I don't know if that's in your...
So we're clarifying some background stuff. That's one of the reasons I'm not coming, is trying to get some more definitive statements out on that. The problem is that we have two different areas of the provincial government that deal with it. One deals with rec sites, the other deals with the areas that is coming off the order, for example. The concern we'd had from a lot of people was their inability to go and use the lakes and recreate. And given the stress that people are under currently now, there needs to be something for them to do because we're all people that like to be outside. So they've defined their areas for the most part around the perimeters where they're under order and the fire perimeters. And I will seek clarification and hope to have for you today some very definitive question and answer page that'll answer the questions about perhaps which rec sites are reopening and what you can do there and provide some clarity. I think we still have to, while we can suggest the province may have done this better, we have to understand that everybody is taxed to the max. And so their intent was to try and get this information out as quickly as they could. And at this time we'll fine-tune the messaging to try and pull out the information that I think you brought to our attention that needs to be properly delineated to folks. So that's one of my tasks for today. Any other question?
How is the partnership with the BC Cattlemen's Association? How is that continuing?
It's been a great, since my conversations with Kevin Boone very early on and having a liaison with the BC Cattlemen. Reg Stewart's been in our ELC for boy, I can't remember how long now, six weeks or so. Done a great job at liaison to cattlemen. Talking to cattlemen has been really helpful for us, and the ability to do some things with agricultural permits, some latitude that we can't have normally with someone who doesn't have an agricultural operation. So it's been very successful, and we're very appreciative to the efforts of the Cattlemen's Association, in particular Reg, and the BC Environment. So the Environment Ministry has had someone on site as well to assist with much of that. And so that team has been, I would say, almost unbeatable at trying to dealing with some of the concerns that many of our agricultural people have had. So for us, it's been a real success story and a welcome addition to the capacity in our Emergency Operations Center.
And then has the CRD received any response from the federal government on financial assistance?
Well, that financial assistance would come through with the provincial government declaring its provincial state of emergency. That assistance would be requested by the province. So I know there's discussions about that, and we've had some indication from the province that they're going to support us on economic recovery, that they're going to help fund some people to work with our communities to try and reestablish and improve our economies. We've certainly been devastated by the loss of fiber. There's certainly our tourism industry that spent so much time recovering from other instances has been sent in a tailspin. We want to encourage people as we can to come back and visit us. It's still a great place. Look at the weather today in Williams Lake. But we're all still on alert for the most part. We need to be vigilant. We need to be careful. And as we go back out to use some of these rec sites, we need to be sure that we're careful and recognize that we still have a campfire ban on, that we don't want to see people having fires and letting off firecrackers and fireworks that could cause further incident. So right now, go out and have fun, but please be careful.
And did you have an updated number on the number of homes and structures lost?
The last number, and that's another task for me today, is to try and get that out. The last number I had, and again, we've got such a vast area, particularly in the Chilcotin We're just determining now whether they're going to fly it by helicopter to try and determine by GPS points losses. The last one, we figure we have around 58 homes and about 136 structures, but I suspect that number will grow as we get into the areas that have been more heavily hit by the fires.
And what about the evacuation orders that are still impacting some of the school areas out in the Chilcotin? Do you have any idea of what's going to happen?
Well, right now, for example, the evacuation order around Clean to Clean, just before I left the office, I got word that that fire had moved and perhaps was threatening the highway once again. So I'm waiting for confirmation of that. So that fire, when I was through there yesterday, was active. We could see open flame, trees, I won't say they were candling, but flames 60 feet in the air, quite a distance from the road at the time. So people that think because we've had rain, and I can't speak for what happened out there overnight, we have to remember that this is active fire. All the way in, if you looked at coming along through Lexus Creek, and points you could still see open flame. You see lots of hot spots out around Risky Creek, still smoldering. Given the right wind conditions, an increase in temperatures, which they're predicting perhaps for next week, if that happens, we could see those fires coming back yet again to burn off the fuel that they didn't get the first time through. So that's currently what's happening right now with the Elephant Fire. A lot of it's reburn and burning through areas that the green that didn't touch the first time, and so that's caused flare-ups down there and concerns for folks. So right now in those areas, there's no need for us to change our alerts at this time, based on the Fire Center's recommendations. But we are watching that situation very closely, and at this time we're advised there's no need for us to change any of the directions with the alerts in the Caribou Regional District.
And I was just wondering, there was a group, they've launched a petition to collect letters. They're saying they're upset about the response of the CRD. They defied the evac order, and they're calling it under house arrest, and they're calling for change. Did you have any response to that?
Well, we had a long meeting in Nimple Lake, just what you're speaking of yesterday. There was nobody placed under house arrest. The staff sergeant in charge out there said repeatedly, I asked him, was anybody placed under house arrest? No, they